This is part 12 in the video worklogs. On today's episode, we're just going to go ahead and finish up on the front panel and get started on the motherboard tray. So let's not waste any time, let's just jump right in and get started. Alright guys, just to do a quick recap of part 11 here. We went inside and we did the interior construction of all these little control panels and this lighting system. And then we just moved around to the front, which we're working on right now, and installed this outer door frame and added a couple model pieces and installed these conduit lines. I just went ahead and moved the upper lines here that kind of wrap from this little conduit box all the way up to the top. That way we can install some of this paneling detail a little bit easier. And then we went ahead and constructed our front entrance here. And this piece still needs a little bit of work. I still need to add some graphics to it and do a little bit more weathering effect. And we'll finish up the painting effect once we finish the final construction and do the final paint job on the front panel. But what I want to get concentrated on right now is start working on all my paneling detail that's going to go across this panel and get those windows installed. Alright, the first thing I did is just made just an outline of my door frame here. That way we can lay the panel within that frame there. And now I'm just going to go ahead and just cut out some panels with my 0.4mm stock styrene and start piecing some pieces together and start building up on those panels. Alright guys, what we got going here is the front paneling detail that's going to go on the front entrance. And I just got this all marked out on a 0.40mm stock styrene from Calsec Plastics. And this is just going to be one entire sheet of polystyrene that's going to go right on the front entrance. And then we're just going to cut in our paneling detail with our little scraper tool that has this nice bevel bit to it, and it just cuts a nice groove into the polystyrene. And then once I'm finished with that, I just use my Dremel tool. You guys have seen me use this before. And I just set it on low speed, 7,500 RPMs. If you go any faster, you're just going to bore right through your polystyrene. And then I just got a nice little engraving bit right on the end that gives nice little rivet holes. So what I need to do now is just go ahead and finish marking out my lines here, start scribing in those panels, and then I can get attached to the front panel. Then we can start building out on this and give it some really cool detailing. Alright guys, I just applied a little bit of my weld-on solvent onto the panels here, and I'm just attaching these two panels together. I got it probably about, maybe about 45 seconds working time before this sets up, and I just want to get this on here nice and even and straight. Alright, it looks pretty good. Alright, now with that on there, we can go ahead and start building up the areas. I want to wait for this to dry a little bit. It's going to probably take maybe 5-10 minutes to dry completely, about overnight to completely cure. But it's I can work with this here in just a couple minutes. So what we're going to go ahead and do is start building out on these areas here and get those windows installed and start building out on all the paneling detail here, and really kick this part of the build up and get it really detailed. Alright, now what I'm working on is just a quick little template for the window outline here that's going to kind of wrap around these panels here. And to get those measurements exact, what I did is just made this quick little template. I just took a piece of styrene and just laid it right over the top of my corners here and just marked out the area here. And then I just gave it 1 inch on every side and applied those measurements to this piece right here, which lines up perfectly like that. And what we're going to do is just go ahead and start building out our windows right along this panel here. And we're going to have some little computer panels and stuff back here. That way when you look through the windows, there's going to be some little bit of visual interest when those LEDs are shining through there. So what I need to do now is just start going up and building up the frames here, some of the little supports, and get all the little glass and everything installed inside there. Alright, you guys remember this template that I used in part 10 when we created basically the roof outline along that panel? Well, I'm using the same template here to go around the roof line for the windows that we're going to install. And I'm just attaching this measurement, or applying this measurement of this bottom edge right here to this part of the styrene, and then we're just going to cut out around this area here. And this is going to be basically the base to the window system that we're going to install. Then we'll build up all the paneling in between here, and then go in and install our glass and all the little visual interest pieces that we'll be putting behind the glass as well. Alright, I just picked up this product today that I'm going to use for my windows. This is a little bit of some clear acrylic in a smoked glass finish. It should look really cool behind those windows that we're going to finish constructing today. Alright, I just started constructing some of the window panels here, and I'm just making sure everything is square and level as we work here, and then I check it against my my front panel as well. What I need to do right now is just go ahead and start constructing the panels that are going to hold the LEDs inside here. Maybe construct some panels in here, maybe some computers or whatever, you know, just some visual interest. That way when you peer through these windows, there's something to see behind there other than just the glass. And I'm going to use a little bit of that black smoke glass that I showed you a little bit earlier for the glass, but we'll install that last after we finish up the paint job on this and get the whole window assembly completed. Alright, now I just installed the two panels that are just going to wrap around this area here that's going to define the roof outline. Alright, now I'm just kind of working on the bracket here that's going to hold my LEDs. And I'm just going to put the LEDs obviously through these little rubber grommets here. And this panel will be just attached, just like so. And we'll secure it in here, of course. It's kind of just dry fitting everything up right now. But that'll be in there just like that. And then we'll go ahead and finish building out on the roof line here. Install all the little panels in there, and then of course all the little supports in here as well. Alright, now for the tricky part here. Anybody has done any finished carpentry or crown molding, you know how difficult this angle could be. And we just line up those two angles along the roof line to give us kind of that inverted bevel edge. C-Pop, I did pay attention during all those long hot summers working with you in California. Looks pretty good, so I just need to finish up the paneling detail on this, just like I did on this one, that we can get that installed, finish up the detailing around the roof line here, and start working along the bottom. Alright, what I'm working on right now is these little pillar supports that are just going to go right underneath the windows just to give a little bit of support to the windows. And then we'll start coming down here and start working on some of the paneling detail. Alright, I'm just working on the skirting that's just going to wrap around the bottom of the front panel here. And right now I'm just doing some dry fitting and some finish sanding and just adding some putty into these gaps here. And this piece is just going to wrap around the left side of the case. We installed one on the right over here. And just gonna fit right there along the bottom, and then we'll add a bunch of other paneling detail in here and start working on some other lights that are going to shine down here on the front of the case. Alright, what I'm doing now is just going in and laying in all this little detail skirting along the bottom here. And I'm just using this strip styrene from Evergreen Scale Models to complete this part of the build. And once we finish all the detailing and the skirting here, we're just going to go up here on the front of the panel and start working on some of the paneling detail up here. Alright, just moving along here, guys. I got this great product from MMPCtech.com. This is some round mortise mesh, and what we're going to use this for in today's application is I'm going to create some portholes that are just going to go across the front of the panel here. And I'm just going to cut this down to size, cover those portholes with this round mortise mesh, and then just backlit it with some red and orange LEDs. Whether you guys are looking for some case modding supplies, tools, or hardware, some shop glasses, be sure to head over to mmpctech.com and check out their great product list and say hello to Bill Owen for me. So let's go ahead and move along and just get these cut out and start constructing our little portholes and vents. Alright, so we constructed our little panel here. This is our little generator panel. You can kind of see the glow of the red LED back there behind that mortise mesh. And this is just going to be attached to the front of the panel. And I'll probably make a few more of these. I'm going to have a bunch of steam pipes coming out of the side and maybe some cable conduit as well. But what I want to do right now is drill a hole back through the back of my panel. I just want to wire this LED back through the back of my panel, get it connected to the back here. It's just going to come through this hole, and then get it attached to the front of the case. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so this is where our little generator is going to go, or one of our exhaust ports, or whatever you want to call it. And it's just going to be attached right to the side of the panel, just like so. And now I just need to wire my LED back through the back of this panel. All my circuitry is back there connected through a central hub, and I'll just tie this one in to the rest of them with a Molex connector. Alright, I just want to secure the LED in with just a touch of the hot glue. Just a touch will do, and I don't want to put too much on there. That way if the LED burns out, I won't have a struggle trying to get that back out, and I can just pull that back through the other side if it ever burns out. And this piece is just going to slide right over the top of the LED, just like so, and then we'll secure that down with a little bit of adhesive, and that will be on there just like so. Alright, we got our little generator installed here. I don't know if the camera's picking up the fade effect on that red LED coming in and out, but what we're going to do is we're going to create one more of these. Here it comes, the red LED coming on right now. And then we're going to create one more of these that's going to go on the opposite side of the doorway, and then start finishing up some of the paneling detail. We'll have some steam pipes coming out of here, and then we'll start thinking about a paint job that's going to go across the front of this panel. Alright, I just went in and just created a couple of steam pipes just feeding into that generator right there. And what I want to do right now is just go ahead and start working on some more of the paneling detail. That way we can finish up this part of the build and start working on a paint job. Alright, I'm just kind of piecing several different model kits together just to create, I don't know, just little generator pieces, little pieces of interest that are going to go across the front panel. I just constructed this one here just out of, like I said, just a few different model kits, and we're just going to attach this across the front of the panel. Alright, now with most of my paneling detail completed, I'm just going to go in and start spraying down my first coats of primer. Okay, what I need to do right now is I need to replicate another piece that looks exactly like this. This front panel piece right here is from a model kit, and I don't have another one of these, so I'm just using some styrene here, and I'm just kind of cutting it down to replicate this piece, because we're going to install another one on the opposite side of the case. Alright, now we just got the two side pieces installed as well, so it's a pretty good replication of this one here. We're not going to make it exactly the same. I just want a little bit of difference in it. I got these kind of little portholes coming off the side here, and we're going to add some steam pipes coming off the side, and then we'll put the mesh inside there as well, and then maybe some paneling detail across the front, and then we'll backlit this one with a red LED as well. Alright, so we just finished up the construction on this one here, and I just went in with a little bit of my putty and a little bit of light sand and started doing some finish sanding here. And this one is going to be attached right to this side of the case as well. And then we're going to finish this off by adding a little red LED behind this panel, and then we're going to go up and do some more paneling detail right on the front of this case. Right, we just finished up the generator tower there right on top of the roof line. What I need to do is just go ahead and define this roof line a little bit more across the front of the panel here. We're going to create some areas that are going to come down and illuminate this whole front entrance, possibly some watchtowers above the windows, so with some more satellite lines as well, and just a little bit more paneling detail just to give this a little bit more interest. Alright, so now what I'm getting started on is the motherboard tray here. The motherboard that we'll be using is the Asus Sabertooth X58, and the form factor on that board is 12 inches by 9.6 inches, and I allowed about 1.5 inches over here on the side for some cable management tie downs. The center hole here, what you're looking at is that cutout is for the water block housing that attaches to the back of the motherboard. And we've got our CPU block here, and that basically attaches to the motherboard, and then you got a bracket on the back that comes through these screw holes here, and it holds the whole thing in place. But what I want to work on right now is go ahead and pre-drill these holes for my motherboard standouts. Alright, I got a 7/64 bit loaded in my Dremel here, and I'm just going to go ahead and slowly drill these motherboard standout holes out. Alright, I got these little brass motherboard standoffs here, and the reason that we use brass, this is kind of an industry standard, is because it's non-conductive. You don't have to worry about shorting out your motherboard that way. And then I just got this other little piece here. This is actually a little small socket that fits right over the top of that motherboard standoffs and helps it secure it to the board. Alright, I got all my standoffs in here, and they're just kind of tightened down, finger tight. And what you do here is you take that little socket like I showed you just a minute ago, and it just fits right over the top of the standout. And then you got this hole in the top of the socket that allows for a Phillips screwdriver. And then you just go ahead and tighten that motherboard standoff right on down to the board. Alright, so we got all the motherboard tie downs or standoffs in place here. Now what I want to do before I go any bit further is go ahead and attach my motherboard to this and make sure all these standoffs are lining perfectly up with the holes in the motherboard. Alright, as you can see through the bottom there, you can see the brass standoffs that we installed. It keeps the motherboard in place and keeps it from making contact with the surface, and gives a little bit of air room as well in between there, just to give the motherboard some place to vent some of all that hot air that generates through the board. But let's go ahead and take on the motherboard off, put it back in its anti-static bag, and put it in a safe place until we're ready to install this into the system. Okay, so what I've done now is just went in and just sketched out some of my scribe lines that I'm going to use with my scriber tool, and just go in and start cutting in these edges here. Okay, I just went in and added all my little scribe lines to simulate the panel details. So now I'm just going to mix up some primer and go ahead and spray down my first coats. Okay, we just allowed the primer to dry overnight. I just hit this with a couple coats of primer, and I'm just finishing off with some 600 grit sandpaper here to just give it a nice smooth finish. And now we're just going to go in and start laying down some graphics across these panels here, and changing some of the colors here in the panels just to give it a little bit more detail. And then we're just going to come over here into this area, and we're going to create an Umbrella Corporation logo, and then just kick this up with a bunch of graphics on here. Alright, we just finished up the motherboard tray here, and it turned out great. I'm pretty happy with how that logo turned out. So what I need to do now is just go ahead and install all those little brass standoffs back into the board like we did earlier, and then just set this aside, and once we get ready for the installation of all the hardware, we'll attach the motherboard to this and get it installed into the case. Alright, I just went ahead and attached the front entrance and the generator tower to the front of the case. What I'm moving on to right now is just starting to define the roof line here and start building out some other little generator towers. We're going to have some lights that are going to shine down on the front of the entrance here, and then we're going to build up over the windows kind of some little watchtower and antenna towers as well. Okay, we're just finishing up today's episode, and I'm just going to get started on working on some paint mask, and in our next update we'll do a paint job on this and then start working on the roof and the back panel and the I/O panel and get this project pretty close to being completed. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning into these videos, rating and subscribing. Thanks to all my subscribers for hanging with me all these months. Special thanks to my sponsor, MNBC Tech. Stay inspired, guys. Keep creating, and I'll see you on my next update.